Right, on we move to the subway again. Once again, we're back. Not quite back street, but we're back in the tunnels. At least this time we have the Pro Washer, which means that this paint and this mold is not going to be a problem. Whereas with the basic washer, it was an absolute nightmare. Power Simulator is an absolute nightmare, here's why. I'm not up as not jump, I'm not going to do something as funny as that. I'm fairly sure that in my early access playthrough, I did have the Pro Washer by now. But I don't think I had any of the extensions. But even just the short extension is pretty much good enough for here. I might use the long on the actual ceiling itself. Which I should probably actually start with a... Ugh, so easy to clean. It's so nice compared to the basic washer. I mean, I still do have to kind of go a little bit slowly over it because it's ingrained stains. Can't just blast across it willy-nilly. And I mean, it's still a long way up there too, so... Like, I can see bits that I've missed on the wall there. I should have used the long extension on the top part, probably. I should probably break it down by segment. Do the bit above the cable with the long, and then swap to the short below it. And the only thing that happens by using a longer extension than you need is that the stream is a bit narrower, but usually that means that it is going to clean a bit better. Like if I have the extra long on here, much more focused beam, but I have a lot more confidence that anything in that beam is clean. But it's a lot easier to then miss overlaps, which is kind of annoying in a different fashion. So I think on balance, I think I prefer the long for this. But then we'll see on whether or not it dings when I get to the halfway point. Or if I've missed too much. Because it might be that I've just missed too much by doing it this way, and then I should be using the next one. Just to make sure. As a poet once said, Backstreet's back, alright. Absolutely. Very touching words. Truly stellar poets of our age. I mean, I was a big fan of the Backstreet Boys back in the day, so, you know. Did you hear NSYNC might be reuniting? I did not, and I kind of don't care, so... what did I press? I accidentally pressed something and broke my flow. Like, I enjoyed some of NSYNC stuff, but not much, so kind of don't care. I can imagine a lot of those bands trying to do a sort of reunite tour and come back and get a little bit more retirement money, but re-release things as you do a remastered re-release or something, right? Just to try and squeeze a bit of extra money out, or have things show up higher in streaming. Like analytics and stuff. Make it more likely to appear in playlists because it's new music, not classic music, you know. Let's be honest, the landscape of popular music has not really changed that much in 20 years. And the ceiling dinged with just the long extension, so we're going to stick with this. Try not to go too quickly over it. get some moss up here. Timberlake's run out of his endless money. I doubt it's him that's driving it. He might come along for the ride, but I'm fairly sure he's independently well off. It's more that there's a few of the other members that didn't do so well afterwards. It's also that, from a solo artist perspective as well, it's like, okay, if Timberlake goes along with a reuniting of NSYNC, he's going to be front and center of things. And then in, like, on Spotify and stuff, it's like, you know, similar to this, and then his stuff will be promoted as well. So you get that kind of bleed effect. So it would still be to his benefit. I doubt he really needs the help, but hey, who knows, maybe he's invested extremely poorly. Wouldn't surprise me. And either way, it's just a good way to just get a little bit of boost in the royalties money. So, we've noticed the monthly payments tapering off a bit. Yeah, let's do another tour, or let's do a remaster. Let's dig up some old songs that we never released the first time round and polish them up. Well, let's get someone else to write something that's going to be a banger, so we can trade off that. Okay, I'm going to swap the extra long again because this moss is a little bit tougher. We're actually going to just kind of do it like this instead of just the back and forth. We're going to alternate our stroke work for a bit. Nothing else for the sake of my shoulder and wrist. But alternate your motions sometimes. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Justin Wood River. That's the tribute act. Excellent. Alright, and similarly, I think I'm going to stick with the extra long just for the top segment here while I'm dealing with this thick moss. How is there enough natural light down in this tunnel for moss to be growing? Seems concerning. Guess it's not fungus, though there is plenty of mold down the other end, so it's a bit of both. Should actually crack out my power washer at home and do like the driveway and stuff. I bought it before we moved, and I've never used it. It's still in its box. I got it out of its packaging once to take a look at it. Still haven't actually tried using it. Set up a tripod and we'll have some in real life third-person power wash simulator. No pipes in this game. Yep, here's the water coming from. Yeah, it's Bluetooth. Yeah, it's a wireless power washer. We are creating water as a magical entity. Yeah, there's no pipes, there's no power, there's nothing. Somehow, we are producing water and pressurizing it free of charge. Yeah. Again, that kind of plays into, like I was saying one other time, yeah, this is not a simulator game per se. This is an arcade style game. Which, I mean, is good. I wouldn't have to worry about pipe length and stuff like that. That would be miserable. Imagine if you had to buy extensions. Ah, it's the halfway point. Sweet. Yeah, no pipes or water. This is neither power nor a washer. Yeah. We just drank a lot, right? We're a really crap superhero where our mutation is just producing water. And this is the best way to put that to use. We've found our niche. That seems reasonable to me. Like dehydrating the entire air, we're just pulling water out of the air and we'll spray it at the surface. You'll notice that the dirt doesn't go anywhere either. I know, mind blown. Like if you had to worry about drainage and water physics and buying extensions and all of that sort of crap, like if it was a real hardcore simulator game, I wouldn't be playing it, probably. Too much to have to think about. So this is an arcade-style, first-person shooter, platformer, adventure game. There's something. It's Assassin's Creed with a power washer. People produce water. Well, kind of. Sweat is not water per se, it's saline. You wouldn't want to use it to like clean anything because you'd leave it with salt residue. And other productions of water have other deposits such as uric acid. So, also not a good idea for cleaning. Yeah. Hey, pipe's done apparently. Okay. Whatever. Still had a lot to do, but okay. Yeah, there was still like 2 lengths of pipe still needing to be done, but apparently that was good enough. Okay. I'll allow it. Yes, we were salty after all. Oh yeah, absolutely. Ah, I'd actually forgotten that that was a separate section. I thought it extended down to the stripe for some reason, but instead the stripe section goes all the way to the floor. I can't remember if the achievement for this game, for this map, was to do the ads first or last. I think it might have been to do the advertisements first, but in my early access run, and indeed this, I'm leaving them last. So I will actually finish them before I move on anywhere else off this wall. It's just that'll be the last thing I do on this wall. Okay, we can now swap this to like the short extension and stand a little bit closer, so we can more easily see if there's bits that I miss. Admittedly, standing further back does mean that you can spray further, like spray more for moving less. If that makes sense. At the same time, we do want a better angle on the bottom part, so we're spraying behind that cable that's running along the bottom there. Otherwise, we won't finish it. Liquid our eyes need to survive as salt water. To get a tiny bit of salt water in your eyes and they die. It's all about the proportions. Also, I'm not sure about in terms of the water for effectively tears, but like they're just moisturizing when you eyes when you blink and stuff. I imagine the saline component of that is quite low. And it might have some other stuff in it, some other hydrocarbon-based things in it that our body can produce. A lot of the problem with salt water getting in your eyes is actually all of the other impurities in it, you know, like fish crap. And just the quantity of salt in it is a lot higher. And yeah, that stings. I struggle to open my eyes in any amount of water, like even fresh water. My eyes just get super irritated. I've never been comfortable. I eventually managed to get to the point that I could open my eyes underwater, but it took a long time to get used to that. And even in just like a clean swimming pool, opening my eyes under that in that water and stuff is just, they'll get very red and very sore very quickly. So I'd rather not. I'm just not a huge fan of swimming at the best of times. A lot of it depends also on what you're doing. Like if you're just floating around, that's one thing. But if you're swimming, then it's less the water itself and more the movement of the water. And it kind of splashing into your eyes. So it's the motion of it now. It disrupts the surface tension across your eyes. I think that's probably the worst part. Each tier has 0.3 milligrams of salt. Well, there you go. Okay, but how much does a drop of seawater have? I would guess more, but I could be wrong. Not really made it my study. Back to the moss section. Moss deep, I guess. You Hollow Knight fans out there? I think that was one of the areas. Probably getting it wrong. I've played Hollow Knight once. Salt was funny, you put a superactive metal together with a deadly gas and get table salt. Huh? I mean, yeah, okay, superactive metal is sodium, yeah. Deadly gas, I mean, chlorine doesn't exist in its natural state as a gas necessarily. Fairly sure at room temperature, isn't it a liquid? I can't remember. But yes, that is the magic of chemistry. Different combinations of things have different stable states and different uses. There's also the fact that, you know, a salt is just a category of thing. You know, table salt or culinary salt is just one type of salt. You don't want to get them confused with other things. It's just like common usage versus chemical categorization. Yeah, it's a real fun part of chemistry in terms of the different properties of different combinations of things, even just different cellular structures. I mean, just think of carbon. You've got graphite, pencils, and then you've got, like, charcoal, and then you have diamonds. Bing. There we go. And the cable is already done. Floor is there for the doing. We've got the ads to do. We could leave until last, but I'm just going to do them now. New for 84. Ah. That was generous. If you use a different thing, you can faintly make out maybe the graffiti that's across the advertisement. But when you're using the yellow nozzle, it all just disappears at once. So you don't get to appreciate that. But I'm fairly sure with my basic washer playthrough of this, that I was just going over it with like the green or the yellow first, and then I was tracing over all the paint with the red nozzle, because that's the only thing that would shift it. So you can see what all the graffiti is then. This run is more about doing things quickly than taking my time. But still not like super speedrunny. Like, I don't know, the Trident nozzle is probably all you would ever use if you were really trying to go all out, but I find it kind of a frustrating thing to use personally. Okay, back to at least a long extension, I think, for the top part of this. Might even be back to the extra long, just to make sure. I'm just doing this part of the wall first as well. Kind of nice if it was platform and a wall or something. From side wall, I don't know. Something. Instead of just having it be the whole half length. It does at least break halfway, that's nice. It'd be nice if there was a seam part way along as well, though. And Google, the room temperature chlorine is a yellowish gas. Oh, okay, interesting. Freeze to make a liquid. I guess that this, like, cleaning bleach and stuff is chlorine combined with something else in order to make it remain a liquid. I definitely knew that you got chlorine gas when you got spills of things, but I assumed that was because it reacted with other things, but it's probably because it oxidizes into the gas. I don't know. But it's, yeah, it must be in a suspension or something for cleaning fluids. Okay, time to take a drink while I clean this wall. Apparently that's not done. Is it just because this corner bit? Nope. I've just missed lots of bits along. There we go. Cool. What do I want to move on to next? I could do the bottom bit, or I could move on to these walls, perhaps. We'll do the ceiling first. Do this part of the ceiling while I've got the long extension on and I'm standing here, because there's the upright bit here that I want to capture. That probably makes some amount of sense. Not the best angle for cleaning it, rather than like if I was standing underneath it directly, but it does at least let me get that bit. It's very much a lot of just back and forward in this map. Then you do it once on one tunnel, and then you get to do it all over again in another tunnel. Yay. Really wish it was just one tunnel. You can have trains going both ways on a single line, you know. You just have some points further along, and then it just depends on which one's active coming into the station, right? But also just by the character scale, these platforms just feel too big. I'm really sure I mentioned it last time as well. It just feels like it should be half the size. Maybe not half the size, but I feel like it's half again larger than it needs to be. It could be 75% scale or something. We make it 75% less tedious. At least the lights are dinging as I go. It gives me some sort of braking. It's everyone's favourite level, yes. Welcome back to the subway. Not only is it large, it's also repetitive. But at least we're not having to just blast through all of the mold and everything with the red nozzle this time. So there's that. This won't take us 10 sessions or something to get through. However long it took us with the basic washer, it was putting like 5 sessions, but about 10 episodes overall, I think. It was a long one. Definitely an exercise in patience, that. Certainly the case if anyone says that, oh, but I need to have the pro washer and need to have such and such to do this. No, you don't. Worried about joining into this with multiplayer and you don't have all of the gear, it's fine. You can do this entire map with just the basic washer. You shouldn't. You should just stick to the close-up things. You can do anything that doesn't have paint on it. Do the pillars and stuff like that. And then just work on little bits here and there as you go. Let the host, who hopefully does have the pro washer, deal with all of the really hard parts. But it can be done. If you have time. Loved every minute of it. Yeah, kinda. This thing. It was meditative. At least it's not the bathroom, yes. Bathroom's all the same problem, but with awkward angles thrown in for good measure. It's just so... It's the opposite problem. It feels really cramped instead. Which bathrooms often do, let's be honest. Kind of hard to deny that they got the feel of the level right, but the subway last time was vomiting up a whole 12-inch pizza. Well, there's your problem. It should have been a sandwich instead, because I'm doing the subway. It shouldn't have been a pizza at all. And at least we've got the music to entertain us. Okay, so platform ceiling, not quite done. That annoys me. What have I missed this time? Is it because of bits behind the pillars? Probably. Yes, good. Nice. Let's clean these lights while I'm at it. Well, not lights, that's a clock. It's a funny light. Come on. It'll be because of a higher angle on it, probably. That one worked, at least. There we go. Cool. Now I feel like I can move on. Door frame. Yeah. I don't really need the long extension on for this anymore. We've got it. Okay, now for the light, I seem to remember it was actually good putting the ladder here to then do this. Just for the top of the light. There we go. Be nice if I could put it like there instead, but whatever. It's hard to get the angle behind, that's right. Just need to stand down on the bottom here again. And do that. There we go. I like how sharp the shadow is where I was spraying from up above. That's fun. Okay. Wall time. This is going to be so much nicer, the fact that the paint is just going to disappear. Speaking of pizza, you get dinner going. That's a good idea. I will need lunch in a couple of hours. I got started at a pretty good time today, actually. Actually didn't get anything for dinner again either. Ate out last night. Shouldn't really do the same thing again today. Should have got something up before I started because the chest freezer is in the office here where I have the computer. I'll probably take a break at like 50% of this level because I'll bloody need one by then. So I'll grab something out of the freezer then, Power, which is the same technology as ray tracing. Huh? I don't know. It may make sense if you think about it, but I'm not going to think about it. I'm consciously choosing to not think about it because it sounds too much like hard work. See you, Razor. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the resub and gift, Selvna. Always a pleasure. Just gonna do this pillar since it's there. We're kind of doing half of it anyway. Thinking is hard, exactly. Cool. So that's the wall done there. Next change. Maybe we do the pillars, work our way down. I'm trying to think, basically come up with ways of just working my way one end of the platform to the other and then back again doing something else. So it's like if we do the pillars on our way down, and then we do the platform edge or something on the way back, and then we can start work on the tunnel floor. Trying to work our way a sort of vertical alignment, so we're doing high stuff first and then working our way back. Of course, by which logic I should have started with the middle ceiling bit, but I'm, much like I have with my last runs, I'm leaving the central area until last. I'm going to do both tunnels first and then come back and do the central area. But I am, as a concession, doing the pillars on our way down. It's basically just a case of do whatever you like, really. There's no right or wrong way of doing these things. A lot of the time it's a case of what's going to look the funniest in terms of things being half cleaned and half not. Could always do like the other side, like the other tunnel wall and stuff, and then just leave the tracks to be done last, perhaps, with the platform floor and everything. Just do everything across the top first and then down. That's kind of a fun idea, actually. That's a different way of doing it. Maybe we do something like that instead. It'll just be a whole episode of just looking down at things. Interesting to see where the 50% part hits. Oh, so much easier getting this graffiti off. Also need to get started. Is recording in the same time zone? I believe so. Or at the very least, similar coordination. Could be an hour offset, but we'll have different dinner times. My dinner time varies widely from like 6 to 9. Depending on when I'm working, when I finish work, or if I'm home by myself. If I'm home by myself, I might not have dinner until 10 o'clock, let's be honest. Right, then one more light. We can just grab the ladder from the other end of the tunnel. Yoink! Gotta love that. It's the top one. Make another funky shadow. We're at 28% now. If we do the same from the other side, we'll be at slightly more than 50%. So doing the pillars is probably a mistake. But whatever. So I guess we'll just, come down here and start doing the same thing that we did the other side. That's the wrong one. There we go. I think I figured out the long was fine, didn't I? It was only when I got to the mossy area that I really needed the extra. There is the thick, like, black mold area, but just go a little bit slower on that edge, basically. There's a bit of lichen as well. That usually comes off pretty quickly. Just gonna chill, listen to the music for a bit with this. I do definitely appreciate that I'm like 30% through already. It's been less than an hour. Forget what my early access time was for this map. Probably 3 hours and a bit. You know what I'm really looking forward to is actually the fishing boat, where I was getting so stuck on the barnacles with the red nozzle. Just gonna evaporate with this. Let alone the final level, but just the fishing boat was the first time we encountered barnacles. That was so annoying. As they would be, you know. Makes sense. I think that was the other thing that got me about the subway, is that, you know, we're not encountering anything new or different. There's a little bit of oil slick on the floor in a couple of places, but, meh. Nothing major. Otherwise it's just lichen and mold and moss, and the thing that pissed me off so much with the graffiti with the basic washer is how it's all just a big plastered repeating texture. It's not like interesting tagging like there is on the advertisements. The stuff on the walls is just mindless crap that's just repeated on all the surfaces in the middle and stuff as well. It's just a little bit lazy. Just felt like whoever was doing the map got also bored with it. It's like, look, if you're getting bored with it, what does that say for the people who are then going to be playing it? You should have gone to your higher ups and said, you know what, guys, can we do something different about this? It's a big map, it doesn't also have to be tedious. Let's make the paint on the walls just a little bit of fun graffiti instead of this massive wall of texture. Let's make most of it just dust as opposed to lichen and mold, so it comes off really easily. It's just there's a lot of it. I enjoy the advertisements they've got as little nods to some of the other levels that you've done. It's kind of almost a foreshadowing of the mosaics in the final level. But those are bits that you come across and they're fun, but they're an accessory to an otherwise very large undertaking. So they get somewhat overshadowed by the rest. What would actually be interesting is I'm kind of curious to look at the achievement percentages and see if, I'm not sure how you would tell how many people just got past the subway in the first place, let alone have the achievement for the level, which is cleaning, I think, the advertisements first, but then it's a case of, well, you can just jump in, clean the advertisements, get the achievement, and then decide, I don't want to do the rest of this map. But then you couldn't progress. Can't remember if there's an achievement for the fortune teller's wagon, because that's just like the easiest thing to come afterwards. Or the ancient statue, for that matter. The ancient statue map achievement is like knocking over buckets, so you've kind of got to go out of your way to do that. Obviously there's the achievement for finishing the career, so that would be the case of how many people stuck it through not only the subway, but also all the way to the end. I'm just kind of curious how many people got to this level and then thought, you know what? I've had enough. I wonder if there'd be a way to play bingo with this. You wouldn't have any specific levels included, probably, except maybe like the van and stuff. You know, like clean 10 headlights, and you've got to choose which maps you want to go to clean those headlights. Or like light surfaces or something. Interesting. Is the cable done already? Less of it left before it dinged this time around than on the other wall, but that's, I wasn't really worrying about it so much. I didn't focus on doing both sides of the connectors and stuff quite as diligently, because I knew that it was going to be pretty generous. Alright. So on the other wall I used the short nozzle instead so I could stand a bit closer. Probably a good idea to do here as well. Lets me see the defects a little bit more obviously, if I've missed anything. And a better angle for doing above this cable. %. Probably not even gonna finish the other platform wall before I hit 50%. more ads on this side. I think there's a lot of duplicates, unfortunately. I think it's the same ads on both sides. They don't really have much more to advertise, I guess. I could add one for the temple or something as a retreat. Maybe the shoe house is the education center or something. Like maybe what it used to be. Playground opening for the first time. I don't know. A few things like that. Would have broken up the monotony a little bit more. Like you could fit twice as many ads on here. There's only 2 per half. You know, that's... I mean, it is from the 80s, admittedly, but these days you'd have a lot more advertisement billboards than just that. Gotta have tons. You know, the train station downtown in Auckland, Britomart, is kind of like this. It's almost like a subway station, but we don't actually have a subway system. But it is underground, and there's a tunnel on the way out. And I'm really sure the end of the platform where most people are going on is just billboard after billboard. Usually all advertising the same thing, weirdly. That's the weirdest part. Just the company will buy a whole block to occupy. Just kind of relying on saturation. You do have a captive audience while people are waiting for a train, so... I think as I was down there not long ago, and I can't remember what was on them, so I wasn't really paying attention. Just becomes part of the background noise after a while. These numbers are climbing nicely. Interesting to compare between what my progress was on the basic washer. I think I was doing like 10% an hour if I was lucky. Ding. And the cable, there we go. Nice. There. Turn around and blah. This thing. Graffiti again. Definitely don't need the long extension for this. I can stand much closer, but eh. This tight beam makes sure that the paint is just obliterated. That would have kind of been cool. As if they had some sort of mod, or maybe if the premise of the game was just different, and instead of it being water, you know, with the inevitable questions that were raised earlier about how there's no pipes and you know, we're just spurting water out of nowhere. If it was instead like a laser beam and you were just laser cleaning things, that'd be kind of cool. Just, bzzz, just burning away everything. That'd be funny. Yeah, it makes no sense in reality, of course, but still funny. Kind of neat. Oh, here we go. I was about to go, I haven't got 50% on this. Just not 50% rather. 100% on the ding, 50% on the total wall. Halfway point on this. This lichen is pretty tough, so you have to go a little bit slowly over it, otherwise there will be bits left behind that you can barely see. Definitely need to take a break. Seem to stretch my arms. Sort of thing that I would edit down to like a best bits or something and just greatest dings. But I figure if people want, they can just sit back and relax to the whole thing. If they only want best bits, they'll just skip through themselves. I did cut out one of the maps I did. It's one of the bonus ones, the gnome fountain. I did do a bit of editing on that. Then I had someone actually comment to say, like, to complain that, oh, you edited out bits of it. Yeah, because it was boring. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't even saying anything for most of it. But, you know, if that's going to be the sentiment, then okay, I'll chuck up just the raw amount. Maybe I do both. Yeah, maybe I put a bit of time, since I've got the time off. Maybe I put a bit of extra time into making an edited down version. What am I missing on this? That, apparently. Once again, just have to question it, and then it visits me. I love the song. So upbeat. Something about just hearing a piano have fun. So I'm intentionally only doing this part of the ceiling, and then I'll come along and do the other part, probably from like the other side. So I'm doing this side of the pillar tops now. Because last time I had to tidy up the bits behind the pillar from this angle anyway, so do this side, this part of the ceiling, along with this kind of vertical section there, and then do the other part of it from the other side. Also, we'll hit the 50% before we even get to that point, so that can just be part of the next bit. Won't be a complete clean top versus bottom sort of job, but that's fine. Start off with vertical, or with the upward. Finish off the tops and screens and stuff too. %. There we go. I'm not going to stop immediately. I'll finish off this bit, but there we are. Let's do this bit there. Plus, up that. And I guess wait till the music finishes. So, where did I put my ladder? Come to think of it. That's it. Yoink. So fun that you can just grab it from the other side of the map. Climbing ladders, on the other hand, much harder than grabbing them. Do the same with the door frame, to be honest. Cool. Alright. Time to take a short break. And we'll be back in a little bit. This is the end of episode 1 of the subway instead of, hopefully episode 1 of 2, as opposed to 1 of like 12.